rates. Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts.
Mario Jerez alongside Jeremy Hill, and we have your early line. Casey Gaines is on the audio board. Taylor Sharp is getting us on YouTube. Matt Musso still in Destin, still on vacation, but we also have a 3-day weekend coming up, and I'm pumped up about that, Hilly. How are you today?
I'm doing solid, man. It's been a fun 2 days of early line. We got to go out with the bang today. Let's have some fun today on the Tay Show.
Hell yeah, let's do it. And we have a very fun show lined up for today. We will do another edition of Win Total Wednesday as we take a look at the AFC North, Hilly's old division. We'll get his take on the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns coming into the season. We'll also talk to Barstool's Megan Making Money coming up at 2:30. We love Megan on the show, Hilly. Big friend of the show. Really the first friend of the show because she helped me and Musso out a lot when we first started Early Line, getting guests, kind of giving us advice in this world that we were new to at the time. Now 1 year in, still very grateful to Megan. Very much looking forward to having her on the show. And also we'll do some Ask Us to end the show in the last segment. So you can start getting your questions in right now. YouTube, Twitter, you can tweet me. We will answer your questions at the end of the show. But I have a question for you, man, to open today's show. What's up with the Panthers hat? That's like 3 straight days you're repping Carolina. Are we going to see Jeremy Hill coming out of the backfield when Christian McCaffrey inevitably misses some time?
No. This is definitely not a team NFL Carolina Panthers hat. This is just a normal, regular Black Panther, like Black Panther movie hat. Just, I like the colors, like the camo. Nothing to do with the Carolina Panthers.
Gotcha. Could have swore that was Sir Purr there on the logo. But anyway and anywho, to open today's show, I wanted to start with talking some college football. And we haven't talked very much about the Heisman odds, but we're getting closer to the season. So I think it's appropriate that we do so today. And if you look at the odds as they sit for the 2022 Heisman, C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State quarterback, is the betting favorite to win the award at plus 250 odds. He's followed on the board by Bryce Young out of Alabama, Caleb Williams at USC, and Bijan Robinson, the Texas running back. I'm not surprised to see CJ at the top there. I mean, his stats were disgusting last year. When you look at his season at Ohio State, he threw for 4,435 yards, 44 touchdowns to go with just 6 picks. And he entered last season with plus 1,400 odds to win the award. Really a long shot, but coming into this year at plus 200, I think that's pretty good value. I'm not surprised to see C.J. Stroud as the betting favorite. And given the talent he has around him, I think he has a really good chance to take home the award.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the favorites. To me, he definitely has to be one of them, if not one of the favorites. So you look at, their conference, who they're going to be playing all season. You can pretty much pencil them in for 9 or 10 wins. And so that normally bodes well for the quarterback. So I think for C.J., he's going to have a world of talent around him, and I know Ohio State's going to be eager to prove the world that they belong in the CFB playoffs still. So, yeah, if there's a guy, if I want to throw a little something down, it'd probably be CJ. I could see him being one of the Heisman favorites.
As far as the guys right behind him here on the board, the odds to win the Heisman Trophy, Bryce Young could be even better next season, unfortunately for us. Caleb Williams at USC with Lincoln Riley, I think he's maybe getting a little bit too much love, but he did do some good things at Oklahoma. They will be interesting to watch, to say the least. Are there any other individual players that you're looking forward to watching this season?
Yeah, man, I want to see Anthony Richardson. I know he's getting a lot of pub for some mock drafts and being a potential first-round pick, and if that's going to be the case, that means he's got to probably be having a really, really great season and probably a breakout season. And just watching the talent he was, I know it's unfortunate for LSU fans we're going to be playing against him, but I think that's a guy that I'll be having, 2 eyes put on to see if he can make that big leap that everyone kind of thinks he can make.
Did some good things in Tiger Stadium. Unfortunately, his defense couldn't do a dang thing against LSU and TDP, so they still lost the game. If we're talking about SEC QBs, though, what do you think of Will Levis at plus 6,000? Because if you bring up mock drafts, I've seen him in a lot of mock drafts. Pretty high in some mock drafts, and I think he's a really good player. Unique skill set, can move around a little bit, but he is getting a lot of love. Not so much in the books, plus 6,000, even with guys like KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, Will Rogers at Mississippi State. But how do you feel about Will Levis?
Yeah, I think if you're a person who loves to see new buildings in Vegas being built, and you like, seeing the progression of the city of Las Vegas, and of course, I'd throw something on Will Levis to win the Heisman next year, but I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think too, for him losing his best weapon in Wan'Dale Robinson, I think that's going to hurt him a little bit, especially as far as winning the Heisman goes. So no, I can't feel comfortable about laying anything down on my boy, Mr. Levis.
Yeah, not to win the Heisman, but was just kind of asking you how you felt, about him coming into the year. And he kind of won me some money towards the end of the season with Kentucky. I remember taking him against Louisville in that final game. And I think he's a really good player, but I think maybe a little bit too much dip on the chip with Will Levis in the mind of some. And if you look at the odds and look for LSU players here as far as their chances to win the Heisman, the book's not very high on the Tigers because Miles Brennan and Kayshon Boutte both sit at 150 to 1 odds to win the trophy. So you get 150 times whatever you bet. Long shot. But can you guess who the LSU player with the shortest odds is, at least on DraftKings? It's not either one of those guys.
To win the Heisman?
Mm-hmm.
I would probably go with John Emery.
Jaden Daniels is 70 to 1 to win the Heisman Award. And unless there's another Jaden Daniels that I'm missing, the sports books seem to think he's going to start for LSU. Maybe it's based on the kind of mold, the quarterback that Brian Kelly has had in the past at Notre Dame. But I was surprised to see that. I don't think Jaden Daniels is winning the Heisman. I kind of doubt he's going to start for LSU, at least here on June 29th.
Yeah, I mean, they must know more than we know.
Apparently.
I think so. I think, Heisman, that's extremely aggressive. I think for me, with any quarterback in that room right now, I just don't think that guy is in that room. But, I would love to see it. I mean, if Jaden Daniels playing at a Heisman level, that means things are going great for the Tigers. So whoever made those odds, I hope you know something because I'm not pretty sure, if I'm fully stamping you behind that one.
Yeah, that's interesting. Jaden Daniels 70 to 1 to win the Heisman compared to Miles Brennan and Kayshon Boutte, both who are at 150 to 1. And we don't know who is going to start yet for LSU, but the consensus amongst the fan base and really amongst the media too, if you read some of these pieces and people's opinion, they think the room is in pretty good shape. And on Off the Bench this morning, we were talking about the quarterback at LSU kind of as a whole. And T-Bob and Hester both said that they think this is LSU's best quarterback situation in the last 15 years, outside of the 2 years that Joe Burrow was here. So the best quarterback situation that they've had in 2007, since 2007, when they did have a lot of depth. That was a long time ago, but you had Matt Flynn, you had Ryan Perrilloux, who was really talented. Unfortunately, he never got a shot, but there is a lot of names there. I mean, Jaden Daniels has started 30 games, although he's regressed some since his freshman year. Miles Brennan has started only 3 games, though, and Garrett Nussmeier hasn't really had a chance to show very much. That's why I say you just have some names in there right now, because you do have some experience, but it's mainly for Jaden Daniels. The other two don't have very much experience. So I think maybe some people a little bit too high on the quarterback room as a whole.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if that's more of a bigger indictment to the quarterbacks that have been at LSU over the past 20 years or more credit to this season. I think it's probably more of a bigger of an indictment. But, yeah, I think, as far as depth-wise, I think, you could definitely make a case because as far as talent goes, it's not like one guy in that room has just totally separated himself from the pack and he's just world's talented better than any other guys. I think all, 3 guys, even the freshman has a case that they could be the starting quarterback, and I think it just hasn't been that way for a very, very long time in Baton Rouge.
No, especially with a guy like Walker Howard. I mean, the recruiting of the quarterbacks has definitely gotten a lot better in terms of getting those big names, and he will get an opportunity down the road. You would think he's not really in the conversation here, but interested to see which one of the 3 will emerge, and really it's going to be interesting to see which one is the odd man out, right? Because eventually you're going to have to go from 2 to 1, but before that, you're going to have to go from 3 quarterbacks to 2 quarterbacks. And somebody's going to be the odd man out here. I'm interested to see who it's going to be.
Yeah, no, it's I think only the coaches really know that because, like I said, none of these guys, I mean, you can pencil in. I think we all knew Joe Burrow was going to be the starter. We all knew Mettenberger would be the starter. But this case, it's like it's really up in the air. So I think it's going to be vital for all 3 of these guys to have really, really great training camps and really try to become the leader of this team. And if you do, you're going to have a world of weapons on the outside to throw the ball to. So I'm excited to kind of see who earns that number 1 spot.
Well said. We will go to break a little early here in the segment. We have Win Total Wednesday coming up on the other side. That's going to be a little bit of a longer segment because the AFC North really interesting this year. The Bengals made it to the Super Bowl last year, but increased expectations are a hell of a thing, aren't they, Hilly? We'll see if they can handle them. We'll see what Hilly thinks about his Bengals, as well as the Ravens, the Browns, and the Steelers' chances going into this football season. This is The Early Line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, The Early Line. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at Revelry.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. The latest portal news. We'll do overrated, underrated, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6 for AFR, presented by Pluckers. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
While Musso's still on vacation, Hilly is filling in. However, Matt Musso does have some thoughts on Twitter, and we know that Jay Johnson's been killing it on the recruiting trail lately. And Musso's on vacation. He's at the beach. He's probably drinking some beverages, but he's definitely keeping up with all the happenings of LSU baseball. And I can say assuredly, Jeremy, that he is happy with what is going on right now, as he tweeted out a picture of Jay Johnson in the transfer portal. And Musso, judging by this meme, by this picture, says that Jay Johnson has that dog in him. And the moves that Jay Johnson has made recently, I think, would support that.
Oh, 100%. I think you couldn't draw it up better if you're an LSU fan coming off that, brutal regional loss to Southern Miss. You knew this team had some holes to fill and some big holes to fill, and I think Coach Johnson's done a phenomenal job, doing that thus far. I think losing Trebeck possibly to the draft, and then following that up with getting Christian Little and Thatcher Hurd, I thought was, phenomenal for this pitching rotation going into next year. And if you can get those kids healthy, you pretty much got 2 weekend starters you can lock in and feel really great about.
Love to see it. And speaking of increased expectations, as we dive into another edition of Win Total Wednesday here, let's talk AFC North. And let's start with talking about your old squad, the Cincinnati Bengals, who have an over-under of wins at 10.0 that is. And if you break down their schedule, it starts pretty easy because before their Week 10 bye, Cincinnati only faces 2 teams that made the playoffs this past season, and they have games against the Jets, the Falcons, and the Panthers. Not the team that Hilly is repping on his hat. But those should all be easy wins, at least you would think. However, the back end of the Bengals schedule gets a lot rougher. They had to play the Chiefs, they had to play the Buccaneers, and they had to play the Bills. And we all know what happened last year. 10 wins, got better towards the end than they were in the beginning, made the magical run all the way to the Super Bowl. But now they had to try to get back. What do you think are reasonable expectations for the Cincinnati Bengals, your old team?
Yeah, I think anytime, to me, you're looking at teams projecting to the season, I think especially at the NFL level, you got to look at the quarterback. And the Bengals did a phenomenal job of getting that answer sure out. So you figure they'll be competitive in every game. And I think that's the toughest part about, running an NFL team and trying to, do something special and being competitive. So you feel really, really confident about that. And so I think if you're the Bengals, I could see them winning 10 games again next season. I think you're getting Jamar Chase coming back, you're getting Boyd and picking up Hurst as a tight end and revamping that offensive line. I think Joey B is going to be, right there with all the other quarterbacks that you feel really great about being in the NFL. And so I think that's going to, bode well for the Bengals having another 10-win season.
It starts with Burrow for sure, but this team just has weapons on weapons on weapons. And some of these younger players are becoming more seasoned now, and Burrow is leading the way for a team that features Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who I don't think gets enough love, Tyler Boyd, who definitely doesn't get enough love, and then on defense as well. Much improved last season. They go and get Trey Hendrickson from the Saints. We all know what he did, 3rd in the NFL in sacks last season. And I think Jesse Bates is an underrated player as well on defense. He showed out a little bit towards the end in the AFC title game and in the Super Bowl, but they fixed their offensive line, or at least they tried to. That's the big thing with Cincinnati. They go out and get La'el Collins, Alex Kappa, Ted Karras, and this is a team that allowed the 3rd most sacks last season. It's really impressive to me that Joe Burrow got to the Super Bowl, almost won with an F- offensive line. That's what they were last year. So the fact that they addressed that makes you feel a little bit better. But the recent history for teams that won the Super Bowl has not been really good. And if you look at the last 3 Super Bowl losers, the Chiefs, the 49ers, and the Rams, 2 out of those 3 teams missed the playoffs. So a lot of weapons, not really much attrition for the Bengals, but historically these teams have not performed very well the next season. Do you make anything of that stat, or do you think Cincinnati can overcome?
Yeah, I think, you really, especially in the NFL, it's really so hard to predict each team going year in and year out with all the injuries and all the things that can happen. But if you're looking at a world where the Bengals are fully healthy, you got to have Joe for all 17 games. I think, seeing them have the success they had going into next year, I think it's very, very possible for them, and really can't look at too many other things. I think we've all seen Joe play at a high level. It seems that he's kind of picked back up to that level, and he's a magical dude. It's really not many guys I'd love to feel good about betting against, and Joe's one of those guys. So, yeah, I feel good about them going into next year.
He is indeed a magical dude. He has some really good dudes around him, too. So I think over 10 wins for the Bengals would be a good play. That's a free tip here on June 29th. The Baltimore Ravens, I think, are an interesting team. Their win total is set at over under 9.5. And the way I look at it, the Ravens coming into this season, a little bit similar to the Saints coming off of the season they had last year because they had a lot of injuries. Most of their team died, but they still hung tough. Got 8 wins in a really tough division. And there's definitely some questions, some around Lamar Jackson and his ability to not be one-dimensional. But when you look at their roster, you might think they're being slept on just a little bit coming into the year, like the Saints, who have a win total of 9, very similar to 9.5. So I think the 8-9 record from last year doesn't really do them justice. And if they just have a little bit of better injury luck, I think the Ravens can be good this season. And I think 10 wins is a reasonable expectation. Do you think they're being slept on a little bit, or does 9.5 look right?
No, I think so. I think that looks right for the Ravens. I think you're going to be getting Action Jackson, Lamar Jackson back healthy, and I love what they did in the draft, drafting Lindenbaum in the first round, getting Kyle Hamilton, who really people thought would be a top 10 pick in the draft. So feel good about them there. I think receivers kind of been, probably their biggest question mark going into the season, them losing Marquise Brown. But they got the MVP. They got Lamar Jackson. I think anytime you got that guy and if he's going to be healthy, you feel like you can win a lot of football games. So, yeah, I think the AFC North is going to be pretty jam-packed, and I could see a world where the Ravens win 9 or 10 games next season for sure.
Ravens defense is going to be nasty, man. I mean, they were already really good last year. They bring back Calais Campbell, Humphrey, Pat Queen, and they added a lot. They go get Marcus Williams from the Saints. They go and get Kyle Fuller. They draft Kyle Hamilton, like you mentioned. I mean, that defense is going to be shut down. They're going to be really good. And offensively, yes, Lamar is back, but I'm curious to see what J.K. Dobbins can do with the full healthy season. He was a really good running back in college. But when it comes to Baltimore, you have to look at the depth chart for their wide receivers and question if this group can give them enough production, because Rashad Bateman's a solid player. But if you look at who they have at the wide receiver position, you're relying on guys like Devin Duvernay, James Proche III. Slade Bolden is on the team, which I thought was pretty cool from Alabama. I promise you he's going to get some playing time sometime down the road. And we know that Andrews is a really good tight end, my fantasy tight end last year. Shout out to Mark Andrews. But a lot left to be desired, at least just looking at the names there in the wide receiver depth chart. And again, a big question with the Ravens is, are they too one-dimensional? Just looking at the numbers from last season, they carried the football 517 times, which was the 3rd most in the NFL, and their quarterback himself ran for 133 times. 11.1 rushes per game. So that's really one-dimensional. You lose Hollywood Brown, who they traded to the Ravens. So if the Ravens are going to go under here, I think it'll be because of a lack of skilled pass catchers. There's just not too much talent here.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest worry if you are a Ravens fan, if you are a fan of the Ravens, is, who's Lamar going to be throwing the ball to? I know they feel really, really great about their tight end and Daniels, but, outside of that, I mean, who they're going to be throwing to? Duvernay, I think they got some young receivers there, but as far as high-end number 1 receivers, you don't really, point to too many of those guys on that Ravens roster. So that'd probably be my biggest concern. But knowing the Ravens, they're going to be trying to run the ball and play good defense. I think there's a path for them to win without having those weapons.
I think so, too. I meant talent. Now, talent, by the way, that was a really bad voice crack. Jeez. Anyway, moving on. Looking at the Cleveland Browns, we can't because they're not on the board, Hilly, and we know why. Lots of questions around Deshaun Watson. Whenever that is figured out, there will be a win total here, but you can still put down some bets on the Cleveland Browns, and if you're really positive, if you're a big Baker Mayfield fan maybe, looking at you, Taylor, you can still put some bread down on the Browns here, but they're kind of a low-risk bets for the house. Like you were saying, Las Vegas might make a lot of money here because the only way you can bet on the Browns is if you bet on them to win the Super Bowl. This is all at DraftKings, by the way, at plus 2,000. You could bet on Cleveland to win the AFC Championship at plus 1,100, and you can pick them to win the division at plus 210, which I think is an interesting proposition. No win totals available yet, though. Do you think they could still have a good season if Deshaun Watson misses the entire season?
No, if he misses the entire season, I think that division is too tough, especially when you look at the Ravens, you look at the Bengals, and even the Steelers, who are going to be a scrappy, well-coached football team. If you don't have Deshaun Watson, that team is just a lot different. I like Jacoby Brissett, but as far as him being a upper echelon start NFL quarterback, I just think you're going to fall a little short there. So as far as him winning the division or even going to a Super Bowl AFC championship without Deshaun Watson, I wouldn't feel good about putting my coins there.
I mean, you still have Myles Garrett, one of the better defensive linemen in the NFL. They added Amari Cooper to replace Odell Beckham after the fiasco with Odell Beckham Sr. and Baker Mayfield. Their fans really want a big year out of David Njoku, the tight end, who had some good moments last year, but for a team that was really run-heavy, didn't get to show out too much. the big question is, will Baker Mayfield play if Deshaun Watson can't? And he was talking to some reporters at his camp in Norman, Oklahoma, a youth football camp, and he was saying that if he's going to go back to Cleveland, they have to reach out in some form or fashion. He said they both kind of moved on, but it's sounding like if they offered him an opportunity to play, he would kind of have no other choice, and he would have to play for the Cleveland Browns. And I would think he would eventually forgive them. Like, I know he was really salty. I know he went on some podcasts, but eventually, if you have to play to get paid, I think he will forgive Cleveland, the same way Jameis Winston forgave the Saints when they went out and tried to get Deshaun Watson and failed. So no win total to discuss, but we will circle back to the Browns when we get done. But what do you think of Baker Mayfield just as a quarterback? Like, last year, I thought he played through some major injuries that maybe he should not have.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Baker, obviously being the number one pick, there's a lot of expectations that come with that. And I think if you're going to hold him to that standards, I think he's been underwhelming as a starting quarterback. But if you want to, just think of him as a quarterback who's possibly a top 15 quarterback in the league, I think you can make that argument for him. But I think when you're looking at, organizations and franchises paying their starting quarterback $40 million, I just don't think Baker's quite there yet. Now, can he prove me wrong and continue to go out there and play at a high level? I think that's yet to be seen. But, I think Baker's probably, anywhere from that 15 to 20 range as far as quarterbacks go.
And then there was one team left here on Win Total Wednesday when we're talking about the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers win total is set at over under 7.0 wins. And the Steelers coming into a new era after Ben Roethlisberger retires. Last season, despite him playing not very good the whole year, they still finished 9-7-1, second place in the division. They did sneak into the playoffs, but they got killed by Kansas City 42-21. They lose Juju Smith-Schuster in free agency, but they tried to bolster the wide receiver position by drafting George Pickens out of Georgia and Calvin Austin out of Memphis. We'll see what happens at quarterback because they signed Mitch Trubisky, a veteran presence, but they also drafted a local product, Kenny Pickett. I'm not expecting too much from the Steelers. This is a really tough division, but 7 wins is kind of low, especially when you consider that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season as an NFL head coach. So I don't know if I'm picking Pittsburgh to go to the playoffs. Definitely not picking them to win the division, but I could see them scrap their way to 8 wins for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think everyone watching the Steelers last season and them kind of having the same concerns going into this season, and that's offensive line and weapons on the outside. They lose a weapon, like you said. Feel good about their defense. I think their defense is going to be competitive. Anytime you got the MVP on their defense, you're going to be feeling really good about that. But I just don't know, man. I don't feel good about their quarterback situation. It's going to be game in and game out where you're losing that quarterback battle, and it's a quarterback-driven league. And if you're doing that time and time again, it only hurts your chances of winning a bunch of games. So if there's anyone that I'd probably sleep on, it'd probably be the Steelers because I just don't love what they have at quarterback.
No, I'm with you. And I do like Najee Harris, I had to say. I think that the offensive line didn't really give him too much room to do anything last year, but he is a positive presence for the Steelers, and I could see him have a big season. If you're going over on the Pittsburgh Steelers, Najee Harris will be a big reason why.
Yeah, I think so. I think he advanced stats. Yeah, probably one of the cooler stats for me as a running back. He had the second most missed tackles behind Jonathan Taylor last year. So if you're running back and you're doing that at the next level, that only bodes well for your franchise. But I like I said before, it's just I don't love that offensive line and I don't love that quarterback play. And those are two things you really, really need if you're going to win a bunch of football games.
Before we break here and get to Megan making money, one interesting note on the Steelers and their schedule this year, if we're talking about win totals, is the fact that they never had to leave the East Coast all year. If you look at who they're playing on their schedule, and they travel the fewest air miles out of any team in the NFL. You played in the NFL, you traveled a lot of miles. Do you think that's any factor at all?
Yeah, it's definitely somewhat of a factor. I think early on in the season is probably not as big of a deal, but once you're 5-6 games in, those small little injuries start to get up. You need as much recovery as you possibly can, and so if you're flying across the country left and right, not getting much sleep, it definitely can play effect on your play.
That'll do it for this edition of Win Total Wednesday. Taking a look at the AFC North, we will preview another division next week when Musso is back. For now, we will talk to Megan making money on the other side of this break, get some picks in the world of Major League Baseball, maybe get some of her thoughts going into football season. That's on the other side here on the Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but 2 NMEA certified techs. Family owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years. Front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
My own people call me an Uncle Tom. I play music. Been wined and dined by royalty. Trying to bring people together. All people. But regardless of all that kind of stuff, I'm still Louis Armstrong.
Here's the man you're waiting for, the king of jazz, Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
For the Wednesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Snow Seafood and Steak in Gonzales. Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday night on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a Wednesday edition of the early line. Mario Jerez alongside Jeremy Hill filling in for a vacationing Matt Musso, and we are very excited to talk to our only guest of today's program, Megan Making Money at Megan Making Money on Twitter. Give her a follow. She has a lot of followers, as she should. Does a great job. Has been pretty hot lately too. If I'm looking correctly on Twitter. Megan, grateful for the time as always. How are you?
I am fantastic. It's great to hear a friendly voice. I haven't heard from y'all for a while.
Haven't talked to you since Hogs at the Calls a couple of months ago. That was a great time. That being said, yeah, it was. Need to do that again. That being said, how's the summer treating you? I know you're doing a lot of baseball stuff, but I assume a little cool down in between basketball season being over and now football season coming up.
Oh yeah, I'm just out here, just head down, grinding those dog days of baseball, doing all the dirty work that nobody else wants to do. So, I'm taking my wins and taking my losses and just trying to come out positive until football season starts.
I'm about to make you do some of that right now because I am looking at a play, and this game starts at 2:45, so you need to get this in right now if you're interested. But the Giants on the run line are plus 100 against the Detroit Tigers, and looking at this pitching matchup, it's kind of gross, at least based on the numbers, because Alex Wood has a 5.05 ERA for the Giants, and Rony Garcia has a 4.57 ERA for Detroit. Offensively, the Giants rank fourth in runs per game, 4.9, while the Tigers are dead last with just 3.0. So San Francisco seems to be the better offensive team in a game that's going to have a pretty poor pitching matchup. What do you think of the Giants minus 1.5 at plus 100 against the Tigers?
So the value's there, but I don't love always taking the home teams on the run line just because, if they're up one, that ninth inning, you don't even play it. So you don't even get the chance of hitting your run line, which just ends up being super frustrating. As far as that game goes, I feel like Garcia right now is actually the better pitcher. Wood's getting lit up a little bit, and he's very hittable. But as far as the play here, I think the first 5 on the Giants is more of the play. I don't know what the numbers on that are, whether it's if you have any value or if it's actually playable. I would even go to the run line in the first 5, even though I am saying Garcia is a better pitcher. But with the Tigers, they're winning games with their bullpen. It doesn't matter how bad they suck. The games they do win, they're winning on the back end. So I feel like if you're going to take this one, you might want to take it first 5 so you just don't feel like a complete jerk when the Tigers come back and their bullpen ends up eating you alive.
I'm looking at these futures bet right now, and my Yankees are just looking so sweet right now at plus 550. I'm sure it's just a layup. I'm sure I have to ask you, Megan. Futures bet Yankees plus 550 to win the World Series. That has to be just a take 'em bet. Like, it's easy money, right?
I wouldn't say easy because you do have to play my Astros. But I will say that, the Yankees do look good. I would say that the rotation needs a little bit of work. Garrett Cole he's come back into form, but come on, let's just be honest with ourselves. Y'all should never have paid that much money for Garrett Cole. Honestly, y'all shouldn't pay that much money for a lot of people on that roster, but here we are, like $1 billion back and haven't won a World Series since I don't know when, because I'm not a Yankees fan.
I'm not a Yankees fan either, but Musso hates the Yankees, and I can tell you that it was
I hate the Yankees too.
I could tell you that it was in 2009 because he references that all the time. Speaking of the Yankees, they are the betting favorites to win the World Series, as they should be. I'm looking at DraftKings plus 425 as we speak. But if you look down the board, because the Braves came out of nowhere last year, and right now Atlanta up there too at plus 1,100, but following the Yankees with the shortest odds, we had the Dodgers, the Astros, the Mets, and the Braves respectively. When you go down the board here on June 29th, do you maybe see some good futures value as we get closer and closer to the World Series?
Right now, obviously as a homer, I say you put some money on the Astros. We've gone since our hiccup in the whole cheating scandal. We've been under intense scrutiny, and we've been able to come out on top every single year, essentially, except last year whenever we lost the World Series. I'm not salty or sore about that in any means. But I will say that I think the Astros, especially with Jordan playing the way he is, he just went down like 5 minutes ago. So I'm hoping he gets back up. I think he's just being a little dramatic. But with Jordan playing the way he is, Bregman seeming like he's starting to get a little hot, Altuve, our rotation's looking pretty good. Again, not to sound like a homer, but I say the value's on the Astros this year just because we're steady being counted out.
And speaking of being counted out, or not a good transition here, but Freddie Freeman was, I was going to say he was counted out in Atlanta, but that's not really true either. Struggling on the transition there. But he was very emotional over the weekend in his return to Atlanta. And reportedly, he fired his representation too. If you read into it, it's kind of interesting to see how it all went down this summer. But it seems like maybe his people, his agents, tried to play hardball, kind of forced the Braves to think a deal wasn't going to get done. And he's upset there. What do you make of how things ended with Atlanta and Freddie Freeman and him looking so sad over the weekend?
I mean, I feel bad for Freddie Freeman. I mean, as many times as he's like absolutely just screwed my wins and my bets, he seems like a really good guy. I mean, he's got that nice big chompy smile, and he goes out there and just rakes, and he seems like he's a good teammate. Yeah, watching him get emotional, especially after getting his World Series ring on a different team, like I don't know how that feels. I've never won a World Series, but I feel like I would be really sad having to be on the an opposing team that you're playing, and getting a ring back where you want it. And I don't know. I feel for him, I think, is what I'm getting at.
Speaking of looking really sad, Mike Trout looks that way all the time. And I saw that I saw a video of him looking at his pitcher, and it looks like he can even see that he's tipping pitches there. And we've had some fun with the Angels on the show, Megan, because they went on that big losing streak a couple weeks ago. They tried to get juiced up with playing some Nickelback, but every time I see Mike Trout, he looks pretty sad. I know he makes a lot of money. That's always the retort when people ask this kind of thing. But do you feel bad for Mike Trout as he's constantly looking miserable on the Angels?
I feel like it's extremely hard for anyone in life to say that they feel bad for Mike Trout. Yeah, he's like an amazing baseball player, like truly like the all-American dream. But he's Mike Trout. Like he's like the biggest household baseball name, I guess, besides nationally Shohei Ohtani, which he gets to play with. That everyone knows Mike Trout. Everyone wants to be Mike Trout. Everyone is essentially like he's the Michael Jordan of baseball right now. And it's so no, I do not feel bad for Mike Trout, because Mike Trout can do whatever he wants. He can be wherever he wants, and he can succeed wherever he wants. I can get where he's frustrated, because I've been a part of teams, even if it's little league, middle school, high school. If you're good and you're surrounded with people that aren't good, and you're just trying to like constantly help, yeah, that's frustrating. It feels like you're coaching a team. It feels like, like, why has this guy even been called up if he can't even get us through the end of the last two innings? So no, my answer in a long-winded is I do not feel bad for Mike Trout, but I can understand and sympathize with the frustration.
Well said. Well said. Transitioning here a little bit, as Megan Making Money is our guest here on the early line, does a great job at Barstool Sports. Football season, slowly but surely getting here, just in a broad sense. Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to this season, whether it be in the NFL or in college?
I mean, honestly, I think we would all be lying sitting here saying that we're not excited to see what Coach Kelly does with the Tigers this year. And that's really that, I'm so deep into baseball that I haven't been doing as much football research as I should have been or should be doing. My co-host on our show, Money Shots, Kelly in Vegas, she usually is the sharp here with the football. I mean, she had an excellent football season last year, especially college football. She was taking like three-leg underdog parlays and hit like 7 of them. She hit she hit the book for like $20,000 one week just on underdog parlays, and she's absolutely killed it. But as far as me, I'm just getting through baseball, and the only thing that I'm truly excited to see is what Coach Kelly does with the Tigers. I'm excited to see Miles back out there. I'm excited to see, obviously, the Saints and what they're going to do under, without Peyton there. I'm just excited to the general sense of waiting for football, if that makes any sense.
All right, so futures bet. I know everyone's super excited to see what Coach Kelly's going to do with this football team. I haven't looked at the win totals. I think it's about 8 right now, if I'm not mistaken. Where do you think the win total is going to be for the season? I know you haven't done an intense amount of research on the team, though.
Right. So, look, my heart is always going to say the over, right? Like but realistically, it being a new program, completely, I don't even know if I'm going to put a futures bet out on the total here, just because I feel like my feelings might get hurt, or I could be pleasantly surprised. But I feel like with a new coach in there, and especially, moving from Coach O to Coach Kelly. I mean, I've never met Coach Kelly, but I have a feeling that he runs a quite tighter ship. And again, maybe I'm wrong. You would know way more about that than I would. But I don't want to put a number out there and say that it's going to happen. But I would say right now I'm leaning over, just because I feel like LSU has the tools and has something to prove this year. I mean, we won that national championship in 2019, and here we are, have just been kind of putting along, and it's time to get back in Tiger form, boys.
Well said. Last one
All
here.
right, let's go. Houston's up 2-0.
Man, they've got some trash can jokes in the chat. I'm resisting making them out of respect to Megan, because she's my friend.
Because we have been under intense scrutiny. Everyone bang, 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 bang. I get it. We get it. But it's over. It's over for you guys this year. Because as soon as we win this World Series, without the buzzers or the trash cans or whatever BS y'all are saying that we use, I'll get an Astros tattoo. There we go.
All right. Megan likes the Astros. They're at plus 550 to win the World Series right now. So the sportsbooks kind of agree with her. Third shortest odds right now between the Dodgers and the Yankees. Megan, we're very grateful for your time. I said so in the first segment. Me and Musa are very grateful to you. You helped us out a lot at the start of this show, just giving us advice, hooking us up with certain people. We are forever grateful to you, and we're very happy we could have you on today.
Well, that is probably the sweetest thing I've heard all day. I'm going to go to the kitchen after this and tell my husband that, so that he has to say something really nice to me next.
Yeah,
So
tell Alex. We love him too. Alex is a beast.
No, he loves y'all. He loves it. There's a picture of y'all three, actually, from Hogs for the Cause that I really enjoy. I'm not sure if y'all remember, all of you Latin men with your chains and your tequila, but we won't go there.
Great times.
But it is a frame-worthy picture for sure. Y'all look like some dons.
We'll make it happen again soon. Thanks for your time, Megan. Have a good one.
Absolutely, and go Stros.
There she goes, Megan making money. We'll have to have her on again soon. That was a lot of fun. We will wrap up the show with some Ask Us next. Get your questions into the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, and we'll answer them on the other side. Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
My own people call me an Uncle Tom. I play music. Been wined and dined by royalty. Trying to bring people together. All people. But regardless of all that kind of stuff, I'm still Louis Armstrong.
Here's the man you're waiting for, the king of jazz, Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. The latest portal news. We'll do overrated, underrated, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6 for AFR presented by Pluckers. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up the show here on a Wednesday. Shout out to Hilly for filling in for Musso the last 3 days. Me and Taylor will be hosting on Thursday and Friday. Musso will be back on Monday as we get closer and closer to the fall. We want to let you know that 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge wants to recognize a member of our community with an honorary ESPN ESPY Award. This year, the ESPYs are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and we're looking for local athletes, administrators, or community volunteers who actively work to expand access to sports for girls. Visit 1045ESPN.com now through Wednesday, July 6th to submit a nomination, and we will name our ESPY recipient on Wednesday, July 13th. Then you can tune into the ESPYs presented by Capital One on Saturday, July 20th at 7 p.m. on WBRZ. And speaking of the ESPYs, ESPN has announced that they have a host for this edition of the ESPYs, and the host will be 2022 NBA Finals MVP Steph Curry, which is interesting to see. Don't see Steph doing too much of this stuff, but he is kind of the hottest name out there right now. The championship for the Warriors is still really fresh, and I'm interested to see how he does it as host, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different stroke from our boy Steph, but look, if there's anything Steph can't do, dude can golf, he can shoot a basketball from 50 feet away. Like, yeah, I think you got to give him a shot and let him do it. And yeah, he's coming off the championship flow, so he's got to have a little sass to him, and yeah, I'd love to see it.
Have you seen the videos of the championship parade?
Oh,
and Klay Thompson.
Yeah, Klay just knocking over people, chugging Hennessy. Yeah, it was a crapshoot, but yeah, I definitely saw that.
Man, that they were having a good time, and Steph was definitely letting loose a little bit as well. I love the championship parades, and these days you can find more videos like that, but going back like the 80s and 90s, there's probably some epic stories of like some drunk players that we just never got to see.
Oh, yeah, I mean, now we got a million cameras, cell phones. There's so many different angles and footages you're going to get to see of these, and yeah, I think it's great. I got to be a part of a little championship parade before. Yeah, with the Patriots. It was pretty fun. So, yeah, those things are really, really fun.
Who was having a good time on the Patriots? Who was the Klay Thompson of
Yeah,
that
I mean, so our float, we had Gronk on there, so I was right next to him the whole entire parade, and so we had more than enough fun and plenty of beers chucked at our heads throughout the entirety, so it was fun.
Walked right into that one. My kind of lasting memory of the Saints parade is I'll never forget, we were standing near the convention center downtown New Orleans, and Garrett Hartley got off the float for a second. He came and talked to a group of people. My man was tanked. he was gone. He was on another planet, but he deserved it, especially after that kick he made against the Vikings in the NFC Championship game. That'll pretty much do it for us here on today's show. We'll be back tomorrow alongside Taylor Sharp from 2 to 3 p.m. Shout out to Hilly for filling in the last couple of days. Stay tuned for After Further Review and Matt Moscona coming up next, 104.5 ESPN.